With graphics like that, this guy must work out.
How's it going, folks? Coming to you from the workshop this evening. Thought I'd give you a little overview of the miter saws that I use. So these are ones, two of these I still use today. One of them is original that I had when I first started working. But two of them I still use regularly. So I'll start with the one I use on bigger jobs. So if I'm doing a remodel, a whole house trim, this wasn't a kit. Dewalt makes their own miter saw stand. I bought this Cobalt on sale, so it doesn't really matter. You need some kind of stand for it unless you've got some other kind of mobile workstation. This is a Dewalt. It is not a sliding saw. They make a compound miter saw that slides. I don't do any trim that's big enough to have to justify that. This is a DW716. Does everything I need. The thing I really like about it is it's a double bevel, so it'll bevel this way or that way. And if you're just starting out doing crown molding, that makes your life a whole lot easier. And when I first started out, the double bevel saws were pretty high dollar. They were more than I can afford when I started doing business, so I had to basically try to think of everything backwards. You got to flip the trim upside down and think of your angles a different direction in order to cut crown. So now that I'm efficient at it, I've got a saw that I don't have to think as hard. So really nice. If you're doing big trim jobs, this is a really nice tool to have. Kind of overkill if you don't do a whole lot of trim or a whole lot of sawing for wood that's large. So I think it'll cut up to an 8-inch board with one cut. It is heavy. That's kind of the part of Dewalt. Almost all their tools are heavy. You know you're getting a quality item, but I don't carry this with me every day just because it is so heavy. I hate dragging the big beast out of the truck, so it stays in my work trailer and mostly just goes with me to big remodels, but handy little saw. This one over here was my first compound miter saw, and it is a Dewalt as well. I don't know if they still make this. It's a DW713. This still works. There's nothing wrong with it. It just has the same problem my other Dewalt has. It's heavy, and I hate dragging it out of the truck. So as the day gets longer, it seems like these tools get heavier as the day goes on. So maybe I'm just getting weak. This is not a double bevel. It only bevels one direction. So when I first started out figuring out crown, it's nice. It'll cut, and it does everything. You can do anything on it you can on other saws. It's just a little more difficult to figure out your angles and stuff. So good saw. It basically sits in my workshop now. Don't use it a whole lot, but it still works. So the saw I probably use most is this little Ryobi. And the reason I bought this is because it is small and lightweight. It's just a 7 1/4 inch blade. Works like a champ. It's a single bevel, so it doesn't bevel both directions. Does have a table on it. Lightweight. For doing real small repairs, this little miter saw is perfect. You can put it in the bed of the truck, pick it up with other tools. It's not a big heavy beast like some of these other ones. Cobalt, I think, makes a version of this, and I think they even make one of these that is a double bevel. And double bevel means like this. It bevels both directions for your angle cuts. This one only bevels one direction. The cheaper ones do. But I think you can get a smaller version of this saw that will bevel both directions, so it would be ideal for small trim work. But those are the miter saws I use. The ones that I've found that work best for me. I've had this one for probably 3 years, and I've used it on a ton of little jobs. It is nice. Like I said, lightweight, small. And then this is an excellent trim saw for large jobs. Price wise, I want to say this one ran probably $500-600. So it was a heavy, not a cheap saw. I want to say that. Don't hold me to it. This one here, I know it wasn't, but like $100, maybe 110, 115. And then this one over here, when I bought it almost 10 years ago, or 8 years ago probably, I want to say it was like almost $300. So you get into miter saws, you can go up in price point really quick. The fancier you get, like if you get this saw that actually has the slide on it for cutting larger trim or larger boards, it can be a couple hundred over the price I gave you. So you can spend a lot on them, but a compound miter saw of some kind starting out for trim work is a necessity in my book. And even for a homeowner, something maybe between these two sizes would be a good saw to have in your shop. And there's a ton, Tradesman, Delta, there's a ton of different manufacturers out there that make these. So nice little saw to have. Leave some comments if you got any questions. Thanks.
This guy needs to be a poster child for birth control. If you like that video, hit subscribe.